So now we will look into graph theory. So the first thing is, so what do we mean by a graph? Okay. So there are many objects. So let's say we have a lot of collection of objects, and if there is a relation between those objects, we can model that objects in terms of a graph. Okay. So let's say we have 5 objects named A, B, C, D, E with us, and if there is a relation between the objects B and D, C and D, let's say AB and DE, and let's say BE. So each of the object is represented in a circle, and the relation between two objects is represented by drawing a line between them. Okay. So in terms of the graph theory, so these objects are called as the vertices, and the relationship between them are shown in terms of lines connecting them, and they are called as edges. So to give a simple example, real life example of what a graph is, so let's look at a map of a city. So where each place is represented by vertex. So let's say there is. So let's treat them as cities. So there is a city A, there is city B, city C, city D, E, and so we have 6 cities with us, and a road connecting between these 2 cities will represent them using an edge. So let's say there is a road between A and B, there is a road between B and C, there is a road between B and D, between D and D. So we're just using an example here. So this is a graph. So each node represents a city, and each edge represents a road connecting them. Now, to move further into graph theory, we need to understand a few basic terms. So one such thing is called the degree of a vertex. So what is meant by degree of a vertex? So for this node, there are many edges connecting them. Okay? So the degree of a vertex is nothing but the number of edges incident on the vertex. So the degree. So let me write the degree of each of the vertices. So this has degree 2. So this has degree 3. This has degree 2. This has degree 4. This has degree 2, and this has degree 3. So each vertex also has a set of vertices directly connected by an edge. Okay? So they are called as the neighbors of the vertex. So the neighbor set for A is nothing but, in this example, B and D. Similarly, the neighbor set of E here is B, C, D, and F. Now we will look more in terms of the relation between mathematics and computer science. So we will see how to actually represent this graph in a computer program. So if you want to represent this information in a computer program, so all you need to represent is what are the vertices we have, and which are the edges, and which 2 vertices each edge is connecting. Okay? So there are many ways in which you can represent a graph. So one way is to represent them using a matrix. So we call that matrix as the adjacency matrix. So here the term adjacent means these 2 vertices are adjacent to each other. So in the representation of adjacency matrix, we have a 2D matrix, and we have a row for each of the vertices, and similarly we have a row for each of the, similarly we have a column for each of the vertices. So whenever there is an edge between 2 vertices, so in the corresponding row, so let's take this edge. So this edge connects 2 vertices A and B. So in the row A and column B, so I will put a 1, representing that there is an edge between this vertex, these two vertices. Okay. So you can see that if there is an edge between A and B, so you can also treat this as an edge between B and D. So similarly, there will be an edge between B and D. So if we fill the details for this graph, so B has the neighbors B, C and E. So the rest of the entries can be marked with 0. So C has neighbors B and E. Okay. So D has the neighbors A, E and F. So rest of things are 0. So the E has the neighbors B, C, D and F. And F has only neighbors D and E. So rest of things will be 0. So this graph you can represent using adjacency matrix using this. So if you, the amount of space you take for an adjacency matrix is in terms of order of n square, because there are n rows and n columns. So as you can see, the main drawback of this way of representing is, so even if the graph has only a few edges, there will be a lot of entries which takes up a space for storing 0. Okay. So usually we represent the number of vertices using n and the number of edges using n. So the actual information present in the graph is just the number of vertices plus the number of edges. So if the number of edges are very few, the adjacency matrix takes up O of n square space, which is very inefficient. So we look at one other way of representing graph, which takes exactly the amount of space that is actually required. So that is not, so that way of representing is called as adjacency list. So in adjacency list, all we maintain is, so for the vertex A, so what are all the neighbors of it? So we just maintain a list with the neighbors for each vertex present. So if you take the example for E, so E has the neighbors B, C and D and F. So each of them can be stored as a list of nodes So the amount of space is directly proportional to the number of edges present. So each edge, let's take the edge B. So this edge is stored once in the neighborhood of B, and it's also stored once in the neighborhood of E. So each edge is stored only twice, and so the space, amount of memory it takes is nothing but order of m plus n. Okay. So now that we have a graph with us, so what do we do with it? So we are given a graph and we have stored in an adjacency matrix or an adjacency list. So what do we do with this graph? So based on the graph, there are a lot of properties that can be extracted from it. Okay. So but to know what the graph is present with us, we need to go through the vertices once. Okay. So that is called as the traversal of the graph. So given a graph, we have a graph with us. So I just want to traverse all the vertices once. Okay. So what is the order in which we traverse? That is the only thing that is different between different types of traversals. Okay. So let's say we start from the vertex A. So starting from vertex A, I want to just traverse all the vertices of the graph. So one way is to tell, so if you are at a vertex, so just go to each of its neighbors. So starting from A, so I go to its neighbor B, and from B, so I in turn go to its neighbors, and from their neighbors I go to its neighbors. Okay. So in such way I can recursively traverse from each of its neighbors, so on. So if you take this graph, so if I start from A, I can go to B, and I can go to C, so I can go to D, and if you try to go to B again, so it will result in going through the same set of vertices again and again in an infinite loop. Okay? So to avoid that, all we need to do is just maintain the information that you have already visited that vertex already earlier. Okay? So let's take the example of this. So starting from here, so I have visited this vertex, so and I take this part to B and I visit this vertex. So whenever I visit a vertex, I just mark that this vertex has been visited already. Okay? So from there, I can go to vertex C. So the order, if you have many neighbors to a vertex, the order in which you pick the neighbors, it doesn't matter for any traverse. So from C, I can go to E and I mark E. So from E, if I try to go to B, so it is already marked as visited, so I will not visit B. So the only option left, so we have the unvisited vertices D and F for E, so we can pick any of them. So let's pick F, so we mark it as visited, so we mark it as visited. Okay. So we have visited all the vertices of the graph in some order. Okay, so this is called a graph traversal, and even though the vertex D is just adjacent to A, so we have visited this vertex D after traversing a lot of other vertices. Okay? So it doesn't matter whether we visit a vertex near to it first or vertex farther later. Okay? So we just want to visit the vertex and we don't care about the order in which the vertices are visited. Okay? So starting from here, so we go as far as possible, traversing all the unvisited vertices. Okay, and we trace back the path and visit any unvisited vertex again. Okay, so to give a better picture, so if there were a vertex G adjacent to E, so in the previous example, we went along the path A, B, C, E, F, D. Right? So from D, there are no unvisited vertices, but still we have an unvisited vertex in the graph G left. Okay, so in that case, once you hit a vertex which does not have unvisited vertices, we just trace back the path we came along. Okay? So we came to D from here. So go back here and check if there are any unvisited neighbors. There are no neighbors. So go back to E. So check if there are unvisited neighbors. Yes, there is an unvisited neighbor G. Okay? So we take this part and we track and we keep it as mark. Okay? So we trace back again. So we go back to C, B, and we reach the starting vertex again, and there are no unvisited vertices, so the graph traversal is complete. So if you look at only the edges which are traversed along the path, so the graph would look something like this. So starting from A, so we went to the vertex B, and from there we went to the vertex C, so from there we went to the vertex E, and from there to the vertex F, and from there to the vertex B. So and we trace back to F, E, and from here we went to G. So and we trace back the path, reaching the source vertex again, and there are no unvisited vertices, so we stop the level. Okay? So this way of traversal is referred as the depth first traversal. Or we can even call it as search. So we are just searching for the vertices present in the graph. Okay? So this is popularly known as the DFS. So starting from a vertex, go just as far as possible and reach all the vertices. And if there are no unvisited neighbors, so just trace back and go as far as possible. Okay? So we just care about increasing the depth, and we don't much care about visiting the nodes which are near first and then visiting the vertices which are further later. So but if we do care about the order in which we visit the vertices in terms of the distance from the starting vertex, so we have to follow a different set of rules while visiting. So let's take the same example. So let's take the same graph. So So now we put a restriction that if I visit a vertex u and if I visit a vertex u first starting from A and if I visit a vertex V later, so I want to make sure that the distance from A to V is not greater than the distance from A to V. Okay, so the distance from A to U should not be greater than the distance from A to V. Okay, so in simple words, it is nothing but I want to traverse all the vertices which are near first, and only then I want to go to the vertices which are at the next distance. Okay. So if you take a traversal in this graph, so I start from A, so I mark this as visited, and I want to traverse the neighbors B, and I want to traverse the neighbor D. Okay. So after traversing the vertices which are at a distance 1 from it, only then I move to the vertices which are at a distance 2. So in this case, these are the distance at a distance 1. So you can treat this as a vertex at distance 0. And these are the vertices which are at a distance 2 from A, and this is the vertex which is at a distance 3. Okay. So how to do this? So the order in which we visit the vertices. So if you look at the order from A, so I have the neighbors B and D. Okay. So I came to know that A has the neighbors B and D. Okay. And after that I came to know that the next set of new vertices are C, E and F. Okay. So the vertices which I came to know before, they should be taken care first, and the vertices which I came to know later, they should be taken care later. Okay. So that is nothing but the first in, first out order. Okay. So which comes first should be taken care first, and which comes later should be taken care later. Okay. So this is also called as before, and this way of the ordering is done using a data structure called queue. So let's see how the queue runs in this example. So starting, we have the vertex A in the queue. So we remove the vertices from this end and we add the vertices from the other end. So starting from A, so we have visited A. So remove the vertex from the front of the queue and put all its neighbors which are not visited. Okay. So A has neighbors B and D. So we put the neighbors B and D back into the queue. Okay. So those are the vertices visited next. So and remove the vertex again from the front of the queue and push all its unvisited neighbors. So the unvisited neighbors for B is C and D. So and we mark them as visited. So now you can see that the vertex D has been pushed first into the queue, and that is the one which will traverse first before going to any other vertex. So after this we have visited C and D. So now again remove the element from the front of the queue, that is D, and push all its neighbors, unvisited neighbors. So we have only one unvisited neighbor F. So we push it back. So next we take the vertex front element C and check if it has any unvisited neighbors. It doesn't have any. So we again remove E and check if it has any unvisited neighbors. We have got G, and push it back to the queue. And mark this as visited. So finally we remove the vertex G and check if it has any unvisited neighbors. It does not have any. So the algorithm is complete because the queue is empty now. Okay. So the order in which we visit the neighbors is A, B, D, C, E, F, G. Okay. So if you take the neighbors in some other order, it may vary, but if you look at the distances for each of the node from starting from A, so the distances are like this. Okay. So the distance to each of the vertex starting from A is given by this array, and you can see it is always a non-decreasing function. Okay. So the order in which we visit, it will be a non-decreasing sequence. Okay. So that's what it ensures. So starting from this vertex, so I will go through its neighbors and I will go through its neighbors. So I will try to, starting from this vertex, I will try to expand the graph as far as possible. So increasing the breadth of the graph. Okay. So this algorithm is called as the breadth first. Is popularly called as BFS. So the main thing to remember from this is, so if you want to just traverse the graph and not worry about the distances, we can use a DFS. And if you want to traverse the graph in terms of the shortest path, then we have to use a BFS. Okay. So given a graph and a source vertex is nothing but the vertex you start your search with. So if you were to find, you ask you to find the shortest path starting from this to each of the other vertices. So you can run a BFS now and find the shortest distances to each of these vertices. In the next lecture, we will see more about the graphs where each edge can have a sense of direction or a weight, and we will look at what is meant by a path and what is meant by a shortest path in a weighted graph, and later we will move to the other types of graphs called trees and other things.